We have reached the point of no return. It is Thursday, January 29, 2026, and the map of the world has just been redrawn by the Pentagon. Last Friday, the White House released the 2026 National Defense Strategy, and it contains a sentence that has sent shockwaves from London to Berlin. For 75 years, Europe was the first line of American defense. Not anymore. The new doctrine officially ranks the homeland and deterring China as the only top-tier priorities. Europe has been moved down to a secondary theater. Think about what that means. The U.S. is signaling that it is no longer the world's policeman. It is becoming Fortress America. The 2026 NDS clearly states that European allies are rich enough to handle Russia on their own. The panic in Brussels isn't just about money. It's about the nuclear umbrella. If the U.S. doesn't consider Europe a priority, will a U.S. president really risk Los Angeles to save Berlin? France and Germany have already answered that question with a loud no. While the White House is busy securing the nearby regions and the Panama Canal, Europe has begun the process of nuclear eviction. The shadow NATO isn't just a backup plan anymore. It is the new reality. America is officially alone, and the keys to the nuclear vaults in Germany are being handed back to the U.S. with one message: pack your bags. The alliance is over. If you want to see where the alliance is actually ending, look at the Rhineland-Palatinate, specifically Buchel Air Base. For decades, this has been the most sensitive spot in Germany, home to the only U.S. nuclear weapons on German soil. But as of Thursday night, January 29, 2026, something is very wrong at the gates. The technical stop order. Reports are leaking from Berlin that Chancellor Friedrich Merz has issued a technical stop on the modernization of the U.S. nuclear vaults. The conflict. The U.S. was scheduled to complete the swap for the new B-61-212 guided nuclear bombs this week. These are the smart nukes meant to keep Germany under the American umbrella. The move. Merz has reportedly denied the transport planes permission to land. He's not saying no to nukes forever. He's saying no to U.S. nukes that come with a Washington kill switch, the security infrastructure blackout. Just yesterday, January 28th, Merz met with his coalition and stated that Germany must move away from excessive transparency. The reality, this is code for locking the U.S. out. Germany is beginning to treat U.S. military geodata as a security risk rather than an asset. The standoff. There is a 48-hour window where U.S. personnel at Buchel are reportedly being told they cannot interact with the local infrastructure until a new sovereignty agreement is signed. The secondary priority retaliation. The curiosity here is the motive. Merz is a realist. He saw the 2026 National Defense Strategy call Europe a secondary priority, and he has decided that if Germany isn't a priority for American protection, then the U.S. can't use German soil for its forward presence. The panic in the Pentagon is that if Buchel falls, the entire NATO nuclear sharing program, Italy, Belgium, the Netherlands, falls with it. Merz isn't just evicting bombs. He's evicting the idea that America gets to decide when and where Europe fights. The message from Berlin is clear. If we are secondary to you, you are redundant to us. If you think the Great Divorce is scary, look at the calendar. We are currently in the final countdown to what historians might call the beginning of the end. Tuesday, February 4th, 2026. That is the day the New START Treaty officially ends. And as of tonight, January 29th, there is no replacement, no extension, and no hope. The end of the rules. For the first time since 1972, the world's two largest nuclear powers, the US and Russia, will have zero legal limits on their arsenals. The fallout. No more inspections, no more data exchanges, no more caps on warheads. On February 5th, both sides are legally free to upload thousands of stored warheads onto their existing missiles. The Trump better deal gambit. The White House has been blunt. In a New York Times interview just weeks ago, the president said, "If it expires, it expires. We'll just do a better agreement." But Russia's response has been a cold silence, and China, the third player in this race, refuses to even come to the table. The shadow NATO panic. But here is the curiosity trigger. Why are France and Germany freaking out? It's because they have realized the U.S. isn't just letting the treaty die. They are preparing for a global nuclear buildup. The bypass doctrine. The 2026 National Defense Strategy makes it clear the U.S. is moving toward deterrence by denial. They are going to build more nukes to protect the homeland, but they are leaving Europe out in the cold. The realization Berlin and Paris have understood that a world with unlimited nukes and a secondary priority, Europe is a death sentence. The forced to frap emergency as the clock ticks toward February 4th. France is already changing its posture. Rumors are spreading that Macron is preparing a State of the Union for Europe next week, where he will officially announce that the French forced to frappe Their independent nuclear arsenal is now the primary shield for the continent. The panic in D.C. is that they have lost the ability to control nuclear stability. The New START death clock isn't just marking the end of a treaty. It's marking the birth of a European nuclear power. While the U.S. builds its fortress, Germany and France are realizing that in a world with no limits, you either have your own finger on the button or you are just a target. Now, we have to talk about the nuclear coup. While the U.S. is busy closing up the fortress, French President Emmanuel Macron has just done the unthinkable. On Tuesday, January 27, 2026, a secret meeting reportedly took place in the naval port of Toulon. The Toulon meeting revelation. Macron didn't just invite the usual leaders. He sat down with the leaders of the shadow NATO group, Germany, Poland, and Italy. The offer he has officially opened the door to Europeanizing the force de frappe. France is proposing to deploy nuclear-capable Rafale jets to bases in Poland and Germany as a direct replacement for the departing American presence. The no-kill switch promise. This is the curiosity trigger that is making D.C. panic. Macron is telling his neighbors our warheads don't have a Washington code. Our deterrent is for Europe by Europe. The Nancy Treaty in action. Remember the France-Poland Nancy Treaty we talked about earlier? It is being activated today. The deployment. We are hearing reports of French strategic Air Force teams arriving at Polish air bases to begin compatibility tests for French ASMPA missiles. The sovereignty flip. For 70 years, Poland looked to the U.S. for its ultimate protection. But with the 2026 NDS calling them a manageable threat for locals to handle, Warsaw has shifted. They would rather have a French shield they can trust than an American umbrella that might be closed at any moment for a trade deal. The panic in the Pentagon. The panic isn't just about the hardware. It's about the chain of command. If France, Germany, and Poland form a nuclear triple entente, the U.S. loses its last piece of leverage over European foreign policy. The force de frappe isn't just a strike force anymore. It is the cornerstone of a new nuclear superpower that does not answer to the White House. America isn't just leaving. It is being replaced by a neighbor who is only a 2-hour flight away. If you want to know what it looks like when a superpower is officially unplugged, look at the secret two-speed EU meeting that wrapped up just hours ago. As of Thursday night, January 29, 2026, the United States hasn't just been pushed aside. It has been ghosted by its oldest friends, the two-speed EU coup. In a closed-door session in Brussels, Germany and France have officially pushed through a proposal for a strategic defense corps. This isn't the old EU. This is a group of 6 nations that have decided to build a fortress inside a fortress. The no U.S. rule, the most shocking part of the memo, they are creating a European intelligence hub that clearly excludes the United States. No more automatic data sharing. No more Five Eyes dominance in the heart of Europe. The panic in Langley, a leaked internal memo from Berlin, says it plainly. A transactional ally cannot be trusted with the keys to our digital house. It is time to unplug the digital sovereignty shield. For 75 years, the U.S. provided the eyes and ears for NATO. But with the 2026 National Defense Strategy calling Europe a secondary priority, Berlin and Paris have decided to stop depending on Washington for information. The move. They are moving all shared shadow NATO data to a new 100% European satellite network, the IRIS² constellation, the blackout. We are hearing reports that U.S. intelligence officers at Ramstein and Stuttgart are finding themselves locked out of European regional security feeds. They are literally being denied the password to the very continent they are supposed to protect. The secondary retaliation. The curiosity here is the irony. The U.S. told Europe they are a secondary priority to focus on homeland defense. Well, Europe just replied, if we are secondary to you, you are invisible to us. By the time the sun rises tomorrow, America won't just be first. It will be alone. The intelligence monopoly that defined the 20th century is over. The shadow NATO is now running on its own data. And for the first time since World War II, the White House is flying blind in the East.